Welcome to Python Iteration, Mastering Business Data Patterns, a module on moving from manual repetition to automated data processing. So up until now, we've written scripts that process one record at a time. But real business data comes in collections. So a list of daily sales, a set of customer orders, an inventory of hundreds of products. Processing each of them individually is not scalable. This module introduces the for loop. Now, the tool that lets you write logic once and let Python apply it every time and for every item in a collection automatically. Now, by the end of this session, you'll be able to calculate totals, averages, maximums across entire data sets, filter records based on conditions, and combine all four core loop patterns into a single master processing script. Now, this slide here makes the automation imperative concrete. Without loops, 50 customer orders require 50 lines of code, one per order. Now, the problem column on the left shows the reality. Order_1.process, order_2.process, all the way to order_50.process. That's not programming, that's typing. It doesn't scale, doesn't adapt to new data, and changing the logic means editing every line. The solution column on the right is 2 lines. For order in orders, order.process. Write the logic once, let Python apply it to every record automatically. This is the automation imperative. The value of a loop isn't just in fewer keystrokes, it's that the same 2 lines work whether you have 50 orders or 50,000 orders. Your code stays consistent, the data scales. Now this slide breaks down the anatomy of a for loop. All right, now into these 4 structural components. Each one plays a specific role. So the syntax shell, for something in something, is the fixed structure that never changes. The temporary variable, here we're using product, is a name you choose. It holds the current item from the collection on each pass through the loop. The collection is the complete data set being processed, a list, a range, any iterable. Now the action block is the indented code that runs once for each item, receiving that item through the temporary variable. The temporary variable is new on every iteration. When the loop processes the first product, the product itself holds that first item. On the next pass, it holds the second item. It automatically is reassigned by Python. You don't write any code to advance it. Now, the accumulator pattern is the most fundamental loop technique in business programming. It's how you calculate running totals across a data sheet. Okay? Now, the concept is we initialize a counter variable to 0 before the loop starts. Inside the loop, add each new value to the running total using the plus equals. After the loop ends, the accumulator holds the final sum. So total_revenue is equal to 0 before the loop. Total_revenue plus equals the sale inside of it. The plus equals is shorthand, okay? It is used and is very important for us to understand. So total_revenue plus equals sale means take the current value of total revenue, add sale to it, and then store the result back inside of total revenue. It's the equivalent to saying something like total revenue is equal to total revenue plus the sale. You'll use this pattern in virtually every data processing script you write. The real power of the accumulator pattern emerges when you track multiple states simultaneously in a single loop pass. By maintaining 3 variables, total, count, and the derived average, you can produce a complete analytics summary from one loop. Total plus equals the value accumulates the revenue. Count plus equals 1 counts transactions using the same pattern, but adding 1 instead of the value. After the loop, total divided by count gives the exact average. One loop, 3 metrics. Now notice that the counting uses the same plus equals pattern as summing. It just adds 1 regardless of the item's value. This is the counter variant of the accumulator. Tracking both total and count in parallel is the foundation of average calculations across any dataset. The search pattern tracks extremes, finding the maximum, the minimum, or a record holder value across a dataset. The logic requires a record holder variable initialized before the loop. On each iteration, compare the current item against the current record. If the current item beats the record, update it. So highest order is equal to 0 before the loop. Inside, if the sale is greater than the highest order is equal to sale. After the loop, highest order contains the largest value seen. Initialization matters here. Starting at 0 works for finding maximums in datasets with positive values. For minimums, initializing to a very large number or use the first element in the list. So, for example here, Python's built-in maximum and minimum functions handle this automatically for simple cases. However, knowing the manual pattern lets you customize the search logic for complex business criteria. The filter pattern combines a conditional with the accumulator. It processes only the records that meet the specific business criterion. Adding an if statement inside of the loop creates a gatekeeper. The accumulator only runs for items that pass the condition. In the example, so if sale is greater than 100, total plus equals sale. This accumulates only sales of $100 or more, rejected orders, sales under $100, pass through the loop but are discarded without touching the accumulator. The visual metaphor is a conveyor belt with a gatekeeper. Valid data goes to the accumulator. Rejected data goes to a separate bin. This is the foundation of filtering, segmentation, and tiered analysis. You can have multiple filters in the same loop, directing different data to different accumulators based on different conditions. The synthesis slide shows all 4 patterns: accumulator, counter, filter, and search, combined into a single master business loop. The initialization phase sets total is equal to 0, count equal to 0, max value is equal to 0. Before the loop, the iteration trigger is for sale in sales. The filter gate, if the sale is greater than equal to 100, screens each item. Inside the gate, the accumulator adds to total, the counter increments count, and the search pattern updates max value. Now, when a new record is set, the final output computes the average with print total divided by count. 1 script, 1 pass through the data, 4 simultaneous metrics. This is the architecture of every professional data processing script. The pattern scales to any data size and can be adopted and adapted for any business rule by changing the filter condition and the accumulator logic. Python offers 3 ways to iterate over data, and each is best suited to a different situation. This toolkit maps out each one to its use case. Direct iteration, for item in list, is the cleanest and most readable. Use it when you only need the values, not their positions. This is the standard default for most business scripts. Enumerate, for item in enumerate list, gives you both the index position and the value simultaneously, essentially for spatial or positional operations. Range, for I in range of n, gives a sequence of numbers for this is best for fixed repetition loops, or when you specifically need numeric index access. The verdict row at the bottom tells you when to reach for each. Start with a direct iteration, switch to enumerate when position matters. Use range only when you need pure numeric iteration. Enumerate, the function, solves a specific problem, getting the index position of each item at the same time as the item itself. Without enumerate, you'd have to maintain a separate counter variable and an increment it manually. With enumerate, Python unpacks both into two variables in the loop signature. For index, comma value in enumerate products, this index is an integer starting at 0. The value is the item from the list. Both are available inside the loop's body simultaneously. Use enumerate when position matters. Numbering items in a report, comparing adjacent elements, or updating a specific position in a list. Don't use it when you only need the values. Direct iteration is simpler and cleaner in that case. Range generates a sequence of integers from 0 to n-1. And that's the right tool when you need to repeat an action in a specific number of times. For example here, range of 5 produces 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It stops before the number you give it. This is intentional. The sequence has exactly n elements, matching the length of a 0 index list. So something like range length of my list generates every valid index for that list. The important note at the bottom, iterate directly over a list when you can. Use range only when you specifically need a numeric index. Writing for I in range length of products, products of I, when you could write for product and products, product, is unnecessarily complex. Know when range is the right tool and when it's the wrong one. These three common loop mistakes each have a clear structural fix. Recognizing the symptom is the first step to the solution. If your accumulator resets to 0 every single time, you've initialized it inside the loop instead of above it. Move total is equal to 0 above the for statement. If your output prints every intermediate step instead of just the final answer, your print statement is indented inside of the loop. Unindent it one level so that it runs after the loop completes. If your program crashes with a 0 division error, when calculating average, your list was empty. Count was 0. Guard against this with if count is greater than 0, average is equal to total divided by count. Each of these is a structural mistake, not a logic mistake. The fix is always about where the line of the code lives relative to the loop. This slide illustrates the most important rule in Python loops. Indentation level dictates execution frequency. Code that is flush left at 0 indentation runs exactly once before or after the loop. Total 0 runs once before iteration. Print total runs once after all iterations are complete. Code that is indented inside of the loop runs on every single iteration, once per item in the collection. The depth gauge visual makes this visceral. Flush left is the runs once zone. Indentation is the runs every iteration zone. Getting this wrong is the root cause of two of the three common mistakes on the previous slide. When debugging a loop, the first question is always, is this line in the right zone? This cheat sheet captures the 4 core loop patterns that form the foundation of almost every data processing script you'll write. Accumulator, total plus equals the value, builds a running sum. Counter, plus equal 1, tallies occurrences. Filter, if item is greater than some threshold, gates the logic to qualify records only. Search, If item is greater than the max value is equal to the item, tracks the record holder. These four patterns combined freely. A single loop can accumulate a total, count and qualify records, filter out outliers, and track the maximum simultaneously. Memorize these four patterns and you can process virtually any flat dataset. Every analytics script in this course is a variation or combination of these fundamentals. We've mastered processing flat lists. Collections of individual values. The next step is structured records, where each item holds multiple fields. The transition from a 1D list to a dictionary mirrors the transition from a single column in a spreadsheet to a full row. A list holds one value per item. A dictionary holds a named set of values per item. A complete record with fields like name, price, quantity, and in stock. In the next module, Data Structures, you'll learn to map keys to values for complex business entities, allowing a single loop to process complete product records, customer profiles, or order objects, not just raw numbers. That's the jump from a flat data processing to real business data engine.